Major drug and chemical seizures continue with meth and fentanyl from China. Epstein victims speak out before the public, and Democrats won't let go of the bizarre Trump on his deathbed conspiracy. I'm Tony Kinnett, host of the Daily Signal's Tony Kinnett Cast, syndicated nationally at 7 p.m. Eastern. It is Thursday, September 4th, 2025. This is the Daily Signal's top news in 10. In addition to the U.S. strike against a Tren de Aragua boat leaving Venezuela killing 11 narco-terrorists, the United States has continued its series of actions against drug trafficking into the United States in two key ways. First, yesterday, the United States Department of Justice released that a grand jury has indicted 3 U.S. citizens, 22 Chinese nationals, and 4 major Chinese pharmaceutical companies in international drug trafficking and money laundering conspiracies. Attorney General Pam Bondi said, quote, "Protecting Americans from fentanyl is one of this department's most important missions, and it starts with dismantling the international pipelines that bring deadly drugs and precursor to our shores. We will not rest until we stop Chinese companies from shipping poison to our citizens and bring everyone involved in this lethal trade to swift, complete justice." And not just fentanyl materials from China, but methamphetamine precursors as well. Janine Pirro spoke out from Washington, D.C. about one of the largest drug precursor chemical seizures, I believe, in the United States history.
Hi everyone, I'm Judge Janine and I am in Houston, Texas, and I am surrounded by 1,300 barrels of precursors that are being used to make methamphetamines. These precursors were seized as a result of work by my office in Washington, D.C., along with Homeland Security and Customs and Border Patrol. These 1,300 barrels were shipped from Shanghai, China to Mexico. We intercepted these precursors on the high seas, and now the Sinaloa cartel will not be able to use them to make methamphetamines. And the bottom line is this: whenever there is an effort on the part of foreign terrorist organizations to create drugs that are killing Americans, we will seize them, whether it's on the high seas or whether it's in the country or a foreign country. And by the way, it's going to take 24 18-wheelers to take all of these containers and put them in a secure storage facility. And that's what we're doing in D.C., but we're doing it in Houston today. And you never know where we're going to be tomorrow.
And in the midst of another major Jeffrey Epstein file release from the United States Congress and the Department of Justice, victims from the Epstein horrible series of abuses, the sex trafficking situations, have begun speaking out, answering questions on panels about whether or not President Donald Trump was at all involved or was actively helping or harming the victims.
I do have to ask, and I know, and it's just something that I think we're compelled to at this moment, with the attention on President Trump, with these questions around a pardon, did anybody see or hear of the president himself doing anything inappropriate as it related to Jeffrey Epstein?
No.
And while the Epstein victims made it clear that they didn't believe there was a specific list of individuals, at least written down, that the government was protecting, several of the victims did state that they believed there was a deeper network of individuals who benefited, so to speak, from the Epstein sex trafficking and abuse situation, specifically named by the victims Bill Clinton.
2002, I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. If I spoke out, who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. And while what I endured will haunt me forever, I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us.
We spoke to legal expert Ron Coleman a little bit about what these particular prosecutions might look like, how the victims going forward might get a little bit of retribution, and how you get into a perhaps sticky situation regarding soft and hard evidence regarding these kinds of cases which have been over for a considerable amount of time. Some of these particular Epstein victims, they come forward. I'm going to paint a hypothetical here. They come forward and they say, the number one criminal, the man of the painting and address, not Tim McBride, Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton is the guy. He is the one. Are any of these statements from this point admissible in court? Are we looking at statute of limitations stuff? If they come out all unified, again, I'm just going to pretend here. They all come forward and say it was all Bill Clinton the entire time.
It's not a matter of court. If they came out and were able to not only make the claim, but substantiate it. In other words, corroborating testimony and
recently perhaps, a found let's steel man it, a VHS tape almost.
Exactly. It's right. In other words, as we used to say in law school, 60 bishops swearing on a Bible. Okay. Okay. So with that, therefore, in other words, to me, it seems that prosecution is really besides the point. I don't really know what the statutes of limitations are. I know that, if they involve Donald Trump.
You mean federal prosecution, or are we talking district or state level prosecution?
I'm comfortable saying I don't know what any of them are. At any level of jurisdiction.
We'll link the rest of that interview down in the description below. And lastly, the Democrats do not appear over on both the legacy media side as well as the congressional official and state gubernatorial side of things to be ready to let go of the bizarre Trump on his deathbed conspiracy. After making quite a bit of hay over the weekend about the 48 hours that the President of the United States didn't give some kind of a press conference with individuals like Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker demanding that the president step forward and release certain files like a proof of life, Joy Reid took to cameras not just to suggest that perhaps there might be something sketchy going on with the president's current health, but also that he had faked the assassination attempt on his life.
And the reality is this is the oldest president we've ever had in our history. His father, I believe, died out of the complications of Alzheimer's. He's showing clear signs that he isn't well. His face looks like it's coming apart. He's got all these bruises all over his hands, which we don't know what that's from. They won't explain it. He's got these magical doctors who claim that he was shot in the ear, but his ear, I guess, grew back. He had a Duplo bandage on one minute, no bandage the next. We can't get a medical record from this alleged assassination. He was supposedly shot. We have nothing. We've got nothing.
Where's the investigative? Where are the investigative records? One day he slapped his maxi pad on his ear.
Now, in the midst of this wild conspiracy fomenting over the weekend, we did get a chance to sit down with Reagan Reese, who interviewed the president for 90 minutes during this entire fiasco. The president actually referenced it in a recent press conference. Here's a snippet of our interview with Reagan about this and what some of the demeanor from the president was like. You decided now was the time for a 90-minute interview with the president. I mean, what in the world was it like to be in the middle of that?
Yeah, well, first I'll add, I was not supposed to do the interview that past Friday. It was supposed to be earlier. It was supposed to be after President Trump's Zelensky meeting. And so when I learned, oh man, I'm going to be doing this interview going into Labor Day weekend, I have to say I was a little like, oh, this is not great timing. Journalism is a business. But then, of course, I ended up being the person who had to prove that Donald Trump was alive, which is a big responsibility for a 25-year-old journalist living in Washington, D.C. I'm here to tell you that from the moment I stepped in the Oval Office, I probably had one foot in the door. The president was energetic. He was ready for me. He was asking me a million questions about myself, about my past reporting. He wanted to know if my parents were alive, what they did, how old they were, etc. We did this long, extensive interview. We even toured the Rose Garden at one point at the president's request. And then he would have kept going, but his staff had told him multiple times, hey, there's world leader things.
Yeah,
that
the
you
rest
have
of
to
the
get
world
to.
to get to. The rest of that interview is in the same link with the Ron Coleman interview down in the description. Before you go, head down to that description and make sure you're subscribed to the Tony Kinnett Cast. And join us tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern for our 400th episode, a roundup of the day's news and nonsense, and a couple of breaking shenanigans out of, I know this is going to shock you, media organizations. Wow. I'm Tony Kinnett, and this has been the Daily Signal's Top News in 10. Take care.